I got a script to this indie movie that my agent said, read it on the plane because you're heading back to New York. You've got an audition for this tomorrow morning. You've got it's Saturday. You got to read this on the plane, and Sunday you'll be doing an audition because that's the only day they can have auditions. So I was like, what? Yeah. Who has auditions on a Sunday morning?
Right.
That's crazy. So I got on the plane, I started reading the script, and it was all over the place. It was like, it went backwards and forwards in time. There was these big monologues that were like deeply profane. And like, I was like, what is this? And I couldn't get through the whole thing on the flight. I'm actually a very slow reader of scripts anyway. So I got into New York, and but I didn't have any time to really prepare. And as I said, these were big monologues, and they were, and it was like, this was a lot. And I wanted, if I'm going to do audition, I want to be good at it. There's no point in going in half-assed. So the next morning comes, and I'm dreading this because I was like, I had not had enough time to prepare. I didn't finish the whole script. There's parts of this that I don't understand.
You certainly couldn't have understood your character.
So I was all feeling a little in over my head. And I got this call from my sister, and she said, my mother-in-law is sick. Can you watch my daughter for me for a while this morning while I go out to Long Island to see her? And I was like, oh, great. I now have an excuse. I'm a good uncle.
Because you didn't want to.
Because I don't want to do the audition.
Gotcha.
But I'm a good uncle. So I call up the producers, and they're so nice. They're saying, listen, this is the only day we're going to be in New York. Please, will you come in today? We're so excited about seeing you. And I said, I'm so excited about auditioning for this. But I'm sorry, I'm a good uncle. My niece needs me at this moment.
You're a family
and they said, bring in your niece. I said,
oh, wow.
This script is just deeply profane. You want her to, like, my 2-year-old niece to sit on my lap while I'm spewing this bile? Are you nuts? Are you crazy? And he said, please. And I said, I'm so sorry. I cannot, thank you so much for being so excited about seeing me. I was really figuring that at some point they'd be back in LA, or I'd be back in LA, and I could meet them again. So I hang up, and I never hear about the thing again until there's a headline in Hollywood Reporter of this Sundance movie that is setting the world on fire. It's Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, I knew it was going to be Reservoir Dogs. And now I do remember it.
Yes,
from your book,
yes.
But I got, holy shit.
And all of a sudden I was like,
at first I thought, is it True Romance?
No, but I realized that had I had my 2-year-old niece on my lap as I gave those deeply profane monologues, I would have totally gotten that part.
Nailed it.
But that being said, Steve Buscemi ended up playing the role that I was supposed to audition for, and he's great in the movie.
Which is good. Doesn't it make it better?
That does.
That instead of like seeing the movie and going, oh, this fucking guy sucked.
Yes, exactly. No, it's much better when they're great because you go, oh, okay. That is what's meant to be is meant to be. It was launching. He took off to the stratosphere after that, and deservedly so.
Yes. And he's a fine actor, as they say.
Yes.
That's almost an answer to my actual question, but it's not quite.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because you didn't want it.
Yes, that's true.
So I can see how it was the one that got away. Totally. Much like I have one which is similar, and then I'm going to make you.
There's a musical metaphor for that?
There's a musical metaphor.
Oh, I'm so curious.
So I'm friendly with a guy for many, many years who used to be at a record company in Nashville, and he was the head of their promotion department, radio promotion. So he got songs played, mostly all country. And at that time, I was in Nashville a lot, writing and producing for all these different country artists. And because I have an affinity for that, and I've had a lot of success in that market as well as a writer and producer. And I became friendly with this guy. And he then, after a couple of years, he was doing really well, and he decided he wanted to start his own label. So he started up this indie label out of Nashville with major distribution, but still his label. And he signed this young girl act. And I'm in Nashville years ago. We go to dinner just because we were friendly. And he said, oh, come back to the office. First of all, I want to show you the offices. And this is at 10 o'clock at night. So he turns on all the lights, and it's a beautiful office. And he's taking me through, and he goes, and also, I have an ulterior motive to bring you here. I've signed this girl. She's my first signing. And I really want you to write with her. She writes. so I want you to write with her because I'm putting her with some co-writers. And I was like, how old is he? How old is she? And he said, she's 16. And I was like, already I'm like,
oh God, yeah.
What am I going to write with a 16-year-old girl? You know what I mean? And then he plays me a couple of the demos that she's done. And they were okay.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't bad, but they weren't like, I didn't hear it and go, oh my God, I have to.
Yeah.
It was Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's a musical
I'm
metaphor.
A fucking idiot.
Yeah, you know, you never.
And I actually said, listen, man, like, I wish you the best of luck with her. But
good luck with her.
I don't feel, and in retrospect, I do hate that I was short-sighted about whether she became Taylor Swift that we all know and love or not. I thought I didn't really want to write from a standpoint of trying to get in the mind of a 16-year-old girl or facilitate whatever. I was very short-sighted in that because what I could have done was thought, oh, I'm going to just try to coax out of her what she wants to say, and I'll try to be the guy who comes up with the catchiest melodies she's ever had. Turns out she didn't fucking need me at all. But I do look at that and I just go, wow, talk about a train that I missed. A ticket to a train I should have jumped on. You know?
Yeah. Have you ever run into her socially at all?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
Once. I'm playing a gigs in Nashville. This is years later. She's a superstar. And I get a text. I'm in my dressing room about to go on stage in Nashville from this guy who I didn't really know, but through some other people, he had my number. And he said, hey, Richard, I'm so-and-so, and I'm Taylor Swift's road manager, and she's here. She would just love to, she's coming, she's wanted to watch, but she'd love to say hi to you. And she had no idea, by the way, that I had been that much of a fucking idiot. And so she came up, and she was so lovely and complimentary, and I said, I can't believe you're here in this, like seeing it. She goes, no, I've always loved your music. And I was like, well, congratulations on everything. And I was this close. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to. There's no way for me to convey this story in 45 seconds without me looking like the idiot that I am.
But isn't it nice to know that your art had some appreciation, that you know, like I love that there are young performers that I meet every now and then that are, you know, amazing, and you know, that will say, oh, you know, I saw that thing you did way back when, and that, you know, I loved it, you know, and that's got to feel nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.